Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 9th to the 15th of March 2015. This is a really big week, and it's a really big preparation week for the weeks that are coming up as well. So we need to focus all of our attention so that we can be ready and prepped and energized for the energies that are coming up over the spring equinox. So the really big story this week is that we have Mars, Uranus and Venus all in Aries, all making a harmonic trine to Jupiter retrograde in Leo. So to break that down, if we look at the symbol of Mars, it's a round and an arrow, and this is where we take our soul, our solar, our life force energy, and direct it. We spoke in a previous video about the balance of masculine and feminine between Mars and Venus, so we need to get over gender a little bit here, because everybody has this soul force energy to direct, and everybody has a passion. So it doesn't have to be viewed as warfaring or anger or desperately masculine. It's actually the active force within us, the masculine force within us in that way. So to have Mars and Uranus conjunct to begin with, well, Uranus is where we see better, we break through, we break the boundaries. So I was looking up the meaning of the word audacious earlier for the horoscopes, and it says daring, bold and impudent. And impudent is kind of written up as if that's how dare you go against the system, how rude, how ignorant to deny what you've been told. But yet this week seems to be exactly what we need to do, because Mars is our passion and Uranus is our vision, and we're heading towards the Uranus-Pluto square, which says the old has to go and the new has to come in, so we need to hold that vision. So this week we're almost igniting that vision. But I feel it does need to be audacious. I think it needs to be daring and bold and impudent and challenging to everything that we've been told. We see a lot on the news or on the TV, this people are doing this to those people. But is that really even true, what you're being delivered, before you start to feel into it and believe it? Can we actually stop and say, well, I challenge that. Is that true? Do I have the whole story? Am I being lied to? Am I buying a lie? So the definition of idiot is somebody who won't go with the system, who won't bow down to the mind control, to what they're told. So some of these words have actually been twisted around, and I feel that with Uranus as the Fool card in the tarot, we do need to be the wise fool or the clever idiot, as it were, and we do need to, with Mars triggering that, lighting the fire underneath that, we do need to be a bit impudent and a bit daring and a bit bold. Not challenging things for the sake of it, but just challenging things because we may not be given the whole picture, because what we're told is some of that stuff is what needs to actually go in order that we can see differently. So we have Mars there and Uranus in Aries. Aries very much fresh energy, and we're having our brains rewired to think differently, to actually be able to see differently, because whatever we're thinking is what we're creating. So if we think differently, if we change the rules, then that's the very catalyst. And it's a very catalytic week, but that's the catalyst to be able to think differently and therefore create differently. If we add Venus into the mix, then again getting over just the gender of the feminine side of that, this is what we care about and what we value. So if we have Mars as the catalyst and the passion, Uranus as the rebel, the justified rebel, the righteous one, the wise fool, seeing differently, and then we have Venus as what we actually care about, what we would like to see come in, and what we know is true value in our heart. Then those three acting together in Aries, the fresh energy, especially in this springtime as we come up to the equinox, then that's really a mighty trinity going on there. They're making a harmonic aspect to Jupiter retrograde in Leo. And Jupiter is where we learn. And it's our sovereignty and our master. It's the wise one. It's the one that actually takes everything that we experience in life and translates that into lessons and expands consciousness as a result. So for Jupiter to be retrograde, that means take all that learning inwards. It's not all about looking outside and seeking. It's not about information gathering and finding and bringing in. It's about going in and reconnecting with your inner master and your inner truth. And in Leo, that's in the heart and the solar plexus. So it's to go in and feel what you know is right. And this is one of the keys where we can get over from what we're being told is right or true to what we actually know and resound as right and true. So all week, especially Mars and Uranus, but Venus is in there as well, all week we have this desire to go in and clear the channels, to rethink, to revise, to revitalize, and to re-energize, and to break down anything that's in those blockages, anything that's getting in the way, any old resistance, so that we're fresh and free to step over that threshold. But it's a real inward journey there with Jupiter in Leo, so very, very fiery. And then by the time we get to Friday, we actually have a temporary grand trine with the moon joining in Sagittarius. So the moon is your soul desire and your emotional compass. It's that resonant feeling inside. Sometimes the subconscious, sometimes that's where we get our learning from, what's actually hanging around deep inside. And Sagittarius is the sage. So we have this wisdom coming in by the end of the week, that we've got the activity in Aries, the sovereignty in Leo, and then the wisdom to really connect with our soul desires and our cellular memory by the weekend. So a beautiful grand trine in fire there, really preparing us so that we're clean and clear, so that anything that comes up in the next couple of weeks, we'll know the truth of it immediately without needing to go out and seek information and get caught up in the external drama. This week also we have Mercury changing from Aquarius to Pisces. That's Thursday, Friday. So the last day of Mercury in Aquarius takes us all the way back to the beginning of January, when the Mercury retrograde in the sign of Aquarius began. So we're finally clear of that cycle now, but we need to assimilate what we've learnt. We need to actually realise and become that higher knowing, because Aquarius is very knowing. It's a very wise sign. And Mercury is our processing mind. So we've kind of streamlined our thoughts, we've streamlined our knowledge, and now we're coming out of that retrograde phase where we've gone back to recalibrate and question a few things and change a few things. Then by the time Mercury leaves Aquarius and goes into Pisces, then that should all be done. That's a completion there on Thursday. Mercury into Pisces, some astrologers say that it doesn't do very well in this sign, but I feel that that's only those that are seeking ration and logic, working from one side of the brain, as it were. So when Mercury goes into Pisces, we actually have extrasensory perception coming in. So again, this bodes really well with the moon in Sagittarius, because to feel into that inner truth, it's the things we've always known, it's the things we've known over lifetimes, it's the messages we get through dreams and through divination. So it's going into the less logical, but actually feeling into the truth of eternity that Mercury in Pisces allows us to do. Our antennae are tuned into a different realm altogether, the last sign of the zodiac, the ethereal realms, and that evocative call to tune into something that's whispering on the wind rather than blaring in your face from the television or the computer screen. So all told, although it's a very fiery week, we've got this call inwards with the Jupiter retrograde and Mercury going into Pisces to say, okay, we'll have passion, hold the vision, see where the breakthrough can happen, be bold, be audacious, be daring, challenge everything, but go in and challenge and see if it resonates on the inside. So our emotions, especially our cellular emotions, are like a compass, and we do have a true north. We know when we're believing a lie or when something doesn't quite feel right. And this is going to be a week to go in and really connect with your own inner compass, what feels right to you, not just the programming, but genuinely what actually resonates and feels right. By the weekend we have Saturn turning retrograde, so we've had 2.5 years of Saturn in Scorpio, and on the winter solstice Saturn went into Sagittarius. We've felt the expansion of that, the outward fire, the relief in a way, because 2.5 years of Saturn in Scorpio was digging into the shadow self and learning the difficult lessons and restructuring ourselves. But as Saturn turns retrograde, it's heading back into Scorpio for a final roundup, and that will be from June to September. So it's only going to hit the last few degrees of Scorpio, but it's the summing up, it's the final reckoning that we're heading towards there. So when any planet turns retrograde, it's the yin aspect, the magnetic, it's taking it inwards. And over the summer we'll have a reminiscence of what's gone on in the last 2.5 years. But again, very much to actually understand what it's all been about, and to realise that we're not reacting in the same way, we're not built in the same way, we're not standing on wobbly ground anymore. So any challenges that come up during that period, we should be able to say, well, I would have reacted very differently to that in the past, and I can now see the benefit of all the restructuring and all the changes and all the lessons that I've learnt. So very positive, but very introspective again. So we've got this pull of outward and inward as we come out of the full moon period as well, and as we come into some more challenging times with the Pluto-Uranus square. But if we can do this work this week, then we are really fresh, clear, aligned and true to ourselves, so that we can step forwards with a very gentle sovereignty, a cellular knowing, and our channels cleared, so that the energies can run through us in a more clear fashion. So to recap, that's Mars, our passion, directed, our life force energy where it needs to go, with Uranus saying, well, we need to go into a new way of being, so let's put our energy, our solar life force energy, into creating something new and being bold and audacious and very creative, all this fire as well. And then Venus there saying, let's make it worthwhile, let's make it, put our energy to something that we value, it's truly valuable in the heart. Jupiter saying, take that knowledge inwards, don't necessarily act upon it, but make sure that you know what's valuable to you, that you know where you're putting your energy, and you know what your vision is. The moon comes along and says, so feel it. If you don't know, then it's what feels right to you. It's what's happening on a cellular level. And you may even be able to look back over this lifetime, if you're that way inclined, over past lifetimes, and see where you've already put your energy and how that's played out, in order to be able to change anything that needs changing, to put your energy into something more real going forwards. And then Mercury dives into Pisces, that says, let me help you, I'll tune in, so ask me, ask questions, you will get your answers through dreams and through inspiration from the other realms. And then Saturn says, we're not quite out of the water yet, but you've had a breather, so get ready. It's only till June, so not quite yet, but get ready to go backwards and see how you've restructured your world, how you're stronger, how your core strength will serve you now, and get back in touch with that. So an outward and inward, a fire and a water, a yang and a yin, and a reckoning and a recalibration as we come towards that point, which is the spring equinox, to find that inner balance, that inner flow, clear all the channels, and really get prepared to be that wise fool that steps over the threshold. So slightly complicated, but very much one that you can feel, not something that you need to think about too heavily this week, but anything that happens, just go in and say, what matters to me and what do I truly feel? So those are the horoscopes for this week, and I'll see you next week. When we look at the general energy of the stars around, then we can all tune in to the weather forecast. We're all experiencing the same kind of weather and the same news headlines. But it really is very important in the age of Aquarius, and as we come towards the month of Aries, that we tune in and we actually anchor that in our own chart and see where those stars are actually activating for us. So everybody's chart is a unique blueprint, and everybody's got the opportunity to gently begin to learn this knowledge and to actually apply it and pull it down into your own life and your own soul plan. Because your chart is your soul plan. It's the challenges and the talents and the experiences that you chose so that you can expand your consciousness and leave this realm eventually on a higher level, expanded level. So please do come and contact me if you'd be interested in a personal reading to begin to understand your chart, to begin to apply these energies, to begin to see where you can most benefit from listening to these horoscopes and actually applying them to your own life and working on your own inner self. So there's a whole variety of readings. You can have a mixture. I'm available on Skype. It's really easy, and I do record for you so you don't have to understand everything straight away. You can go back and you can listen and you can wake up and start to learn your chart. So a whole variety of readings there. Please do check out my shop. I will put a link below. And of course I've also, for the people that are already engaged in astrology, I've got a whole series of very short and sweet courses where you can take this knowledge and extrapolate it and expand it out and see the bigger meaning. So there's astrology, there's tarot, there's numerology, there's how to work with the moon cycles, there's how to clear your space using the elements and the cardinal directions, herbs, crystals, how to ritualize some of the sacred dates, the equinox, solstice and the lunar cycles, to have a more full and enriched life and to be able to get back into consciousness of spiral time rather than the trap of the grid calendar and linear time. So that sounds complicated, but each course has a short video and notes, and you have email access to me. So it's how to apply astrology, how to take it and work with it and engage with this magnificent art and science. So please do contact me, zoehines7@gmail.com, if you're interested in any of those. Have a wonderful week. Go in, engage, recalibrate, reset, refresh, and get ready, because it's that true you that's going to walk through the door and be able to make the most of the very powerful energies that are coming up in the weeks to come.